here's what I'd love to do. As much as I love like good, deep questions, conversations, I also love being playful with the same questions. And so what I want to do right now is play around with, as you're facilitating, navigating between competition and connection. So if you would, competition, take all of your question cards and put them in one stack, question side down in the middle of your table. So one stack on top of each other. Question side down. Not the name tags, the square, these ones. Okay. We are about to do an exercise called Conversation Roulette. Ooh. This is how you win. Your group's goal, listen closely, your group's goal is to burn through the entire pile on your table as quickly as possible. And so this is how it's going to work. Ooh, I forgot I'm attached to a cord. Okay, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to pick a card. Here's the catch. Your goal is to burn through the deck as quickly as possible. So you can answer with something real or fake. It does not matter what your answer is. You just need to read the question, answer it, and then the next person goes. Your goal is to burn through the deck as quickly as possible. When your table gets through the whole deck, stand up and cheer and announce to everybody that you're better than them. All right? 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, all right. And pause. Okay, so typically, if I were going to lead this and I had a smaller group, I would use only green questions. So I'd just say, have the group separate out all the green questions, the fun and light cards, and have them burn through the deck. I'd have them stand. I would build up the intensity a little bit more. I would be behind them, snapping perhaps, right? I want like speed and focus here. Round of applause for the winners. Yes. So when we're leading, the games we play, when we play games, right? How many people are competitive? And keep your hand up if you're really competitive. And keep your hand up if you're really, like seriously, like really competitive. Keep your hand up if you're the most competitive here. The last person to put their hand down today wins the most competitive award. The last person to put their hand down today wins the most competitive award. I've never done this before. I didn't even plan to do this, but we are going to keep this going. Oh, man, this is so entertaining to me. So, as we're enjoying their hands getting more and more sore, what I want to ask you is, and maybe as we talk here, I don't know, we might even convince somebody to put down their hand, perhaps. People who have their hands down, what are they actually going to win? Nothing. Nothing? What are they going to? Pride? Bragging rights. So that. So, okay, this is actually super interesting. You know how sometimes you learn more when you're teaching than when you're actually learning? I am learning something right now. And so I don't know how it's going to come out, but I'm going to try to articulate what I'm learning because it's interesting. What do they win? First of all, nothing, right? And we kind of laughed about that. And then we were like, pride, bragging rights. My question is, can you accomplish either of those things through connection? Can you make someone feel pride Or can they earn bragging rights by connecting with somebody else rather than competing with them? 10 years of marriage. Yeah, right? I'm also so appreciative that there's still hands up. I'm very excited about this. So I actually don't know what to do with that learning because I'm in the middle of it. I need to, like, on the flight home, ponder what that actually means. But I think as we try to balance, the competition can be very fun. Although it can exclude some people who put their hands down first, who are like, I do not care about competition at all because I know I win nothing. I don't feel good when I win nothing, and so I just want to actually, like, have a real conversation with somebody. Perhaps, and I don't know if that's the spectrum. I don't know if the spectrum is I want to, like, have fun and slam somebody into the ground because I'm competitive, all the way to, like, I want to have a meaningful conversation. I'm not sure if that's the actual, like, spectrum that we all live on. What I do want to introduce or kind of dive into a little bit more is this idea that I mentioned very briefly an hour and a half ago, which was this concept that I have talked a lot about quite extensively in videos you can find on the internet, this idea of connection before content. How many of you are kind of bought into the idea of connection before content without me even explaining it? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and put your hands down. So, this is so good. So that concept, right? Priya Parker, in one of my favorite books, The Art of Gathering, talks about the fact that if you can invite a group, an audience, to use their larynx in the first 5% of your gathering, they are vastly more likely to use it in the rest of the 95%. And so what that means is when I'm on Zoom facilitating a group and we're all living in the vacuum of mute, what I do in almost any Zoom workshop or facilitation that I'm leading is right in the very beginning say, all right, before we get started, I want to try to break Zoom. If we successfully break Zoom, then I guess you get to go home. Call's over. Ready? On the count of 3, I want you to unmute, and we'll do this in person right now. I want you to unmute and say hello in whatever language you prefer. 3, 2, 1. So I'm not sure if that counts as enough contribution, but Priya's idea is, right, if you invite someone to use their larynx in the first 5% of a meeting, they're vastly more likely to use it later. And so this matters quite a bit because when we begin something, if you check into a meeting and you can, like, track 50% into a class and no one has actually said a word, they've only been in consumption mode, and then at the end of class you say, any questions? Guess what you're not going to get? Questions, right? And I think there are 2 reasons for that. Actually, I think that one of the reasons you don't get questions. Oh, do you have a question? Just kidding. One of the reasons you don't get questions is because typically somebody says a whole bunch of stuff and then says, any questions? And Max waits 1 to 3 seconds and then says, okay, no, and shifts gears. 3 seconds is not the amount of time it takes for the brain to convert a whole bunch of content and ideas into a sentence that ends in a question mark, then decide to speak publicly, then tell your arm to lift up, and then ask a question, right? 3 seconds is just not enough. And so if you don't already do this, like easy, low-hanging fruit facilitation method, ask your question and say, I'm going to give you 5 to 10 seconds to think of your own response, and then I'm going to popcorn out a bunch of responses. All right? Whew. Competition, connection, I'm not sure the answer there. What I would like to do is, you 3? Are we down to 3? 4. Oh, 4. 4.5. Kinda. I don't know. How competitive are you? Would it make you angry if I say you're just kind of out? You're resting? No, I'm just messing with you. So I'm curious, my 3 people that have their hand, 3-ish people that have their hands up. I'm curious for you to actually educate the rest of us on super competitive people. I'm curious to ask you, what is a way that you like to connect with other people? What is a way that you like to connect with other people? So hyper competitive people, What is a way that you like to connect with people? And when you have an answer, you can raise your other hand.
I like questions like, what's your favorite this? Or what's your best that? I'm curious to figure out what people's answers are in that regard.
Cool. So you want to know what's your favorite or what's your best? Which, can I add a fun nuance to this? So when we were creating these questions, the first deck that I created these questions was like me typing out questions, maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. Then I spent the next 2 years while in grad school writing a very nerdy research paper on the development of the questions, and we refined them. And so the way I travel around to multiple groups, and I put a green piece of paper, a yellow piece of paper, and a red piece of paper. And I handed hundreds of small groups a full deck of questions and said, sort these questions into buckets. Green, love the question. Yellow, could be with a little tweak. Red, this question sucks, please take it out. All right? And I did that over and over and over and over again until most questions landed in the green, some in the yellow, and you can't please everybody, so there were very few in the red. Right? So I did this over and over and over again. One of the things that we learned, and you'll notice in not every question, but almost every question, we cut out superlatives. So actually a beautiful nuance for a facilitator, instead of asking what your favorite or your best, just add one of. What is one of your favorite memories? What is one of your worst travel experiences? What is one of? And what happens is, especially for the non-competitive people or the introverts in the room, it gives people permission and choice to pick a story rather than like, oh man, I gotta sit down and reflect, like the best? This is gonna take me 12 hours to come up with the answer. And it's like not a good question when somebody's sitting there awkwardly trying to think of what they come up with. So just actually cutting out those superlatives, really lovely. Ooh. All right. Other hand, yeah, what you got?
I'm going to say trash talking and banter.
Trash talking and banter. Seriously, dude?
Yeah.
Seriously. Trash talking, banter? That's what you got? That's what you got? That's what you want to do? Is this Patch Adams moment? Are we just meeting, right? Am I meeting you where you're at? I love it. So this is, for everybody who's not hyper-competitive, this is like a really, like tune in, because you have hyper-competitive people in your group, and like how do you get them to compete and walk off that ledge of like, I'm gonna win at all costs? Some of you are in a business context as well, and when you're in a meeting, competition also looks like, you've all heard of the fight, flight, or freeze response in the amygdala. There are no saber-toothed tigers, you're aware of that. And so physical threats have been reduced quite a bit in our current culture. They're not gone, but they've been reduced quite a bit. And so our brains, I believe, have been repurposed to have a fight, flight, or a need to be right. And so you see this in a meeting where someone is repeating themselves, and they're trying to get their point across in different ways because they have that need to be right. And I don't know if that's totally a competitive nature, but it's actually just part of our brains is most people don't like to be wrong. Most people would rather be heard, seen, understood in some capacity. You're all like looking in pain now. I don't even like watching this.
I'm just trying to beat her. My hand is still up until her hand goes down.
And she's my boss, so she told me I have to do it for him.
She said she's my boss, so she told me I have to do it for him. Did you have another thought?
No, I was going to say, I saw his hand go up, so my hand went up. And she went up, so I have to do it.
So this is, I have a mentor, and I don't know if this mentor lied to me. I don't know if this is his personal story. This might just be like one of those anecdotal myths that live in society. He was preparing a ham for Thanksgiving at one point, and he cut the ends off of the ham before he put it in the oven. And somebody asked him that was at Thanksgiving, he was like, why did you cut the ends off the ham? He's like, I don't know, my mom always did it. So he asked his mom, Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham? He's like, I don't know, my mom always did it. So he asked his grandma, Grandma, why do we cut the ends off the ham? And she goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still doing that. My oven never fit a ham. So this is this group right now. I did it because he did it, and he did it, she did it. I just got to beat her. And so it's this like circular little motion that's happening. So I would argue, or I wonder, I actually wouldn't argue because I don't know. I wonder, in that moment as a leader or facilitator, how we can break that cycle of ham. And I think oftentimes breaking that cycle of ham, or this like circular, like playing with a group dynamic and changing a group norm, I think, and I'm a little bit biased, that the answer actually lies in connection, in getting people to really relate and connect and see each other. And my definition, just to be really clear, and I'll walk around a little bit with this, my definition of connection is this. I'll walk to the back. Thank you. Wow. Be really like, ooh, when you walk around. You can just. First, I'm willing to know you. I see you, hear you, get you. And then ultimately, I'm actually with you. So a different mentor once invited me when he was a couples psychologist, and when my wife and I first got married, he actually invited us every once in a while to go out to eat when we had a difficult conversation to have, and to sit in a booth on the same side of the booth as we were having that conversation, as a physical representation that at the top here, we were actually with each other. That even though we might have disagreed on the specifics, we actually wanted the same thing overall. Okay, whew. I'm getting on a little diatribe here, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of now distracted by the competition that's happening. I'm gonna keep letting it go, but I wanna shift gears. On the flip side of this, so this is the model in Ask Powerful Questions. We focus mainly on the bottom rung, which is somebody who can read it, shout it out. Intention. So we talked plenty about that. I want to, on audible 3 times speed, jump up to rapport and openness. And then I want to stand up and shift gears over to here for something drastically different that I think you'll appreciate. All right?